Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osterberg501 and today I want to go over easily one of the best newly released games I've played in a long time. Now this is an early access game on Steam, so keep that in mind, but I think this got released into early access more finished and polished than most AAA games get fully released on. And this game is called Myth of Empires, and the description is Myth of Empires is a multiplayer sandbox game featuring a high degree of freedom. Players will fight to survive and earn their place in a world torn by war, build fortresses, lead armies in massive battles, siege enemy cities, and establish your own empire. So essentially, it's a pretty large scale survival game. So if you like survival games such as Ark or Conan Exiles, you are going to love Myth of Empires because this game takes a lot of the best features of a lot of other survival games, puts them in this game, and make them work pretty flawlessly. Now this game is incredibly intricate and has a very deep progression systems in it, so I'm not going to be able to go through everything in an overview video, but I'm going to try to take you through what you would be seeing starting playing this game. So first off, when you start, if you go on the official servers, there is a massive amount of different PvE and PvP servers, and they're essentially broken up into different regions, or they call them counties in this. So you would choose a server for your region, and then you would have a list of clusters in that server you chose. And most of them are going to be PvE servers, and I think there's 4 PvP servers on there. Now, how this game goes about that is you have to go into a PvE server until you're level 16, but this is part of the progression of the game. So once you get in this PvE server, you're going to go around and just playing. But once you get to 16, and once you craft a specific guild building, you're actually able to essentially transfer resources, teleport yourself, your guild mates, to a PvP server or the other PvE servers. You're going to end up making your main home on a PvE server, and then you use this transport building in the game to essentially go to one of these other clusters. And this is also one of the main ways you'll go about PvPing, is you'll take this building to one of the PvP servers, then you'll start building bases there, or going and attacking other people, sieging castles, sieging other people's bases, and doing open world PvP and stuff like that. And I think that's a very unique system, and what this allows you to do is actually make a very nice aesthetically pleasing base, make it all look nice, and not have the possibility of other people coming and raiding your base because you didn't make it as optimal as possible. And then having your big main base on a PvE server, you can then start transferring you and your resources over to PvP servers, fighting there, then going back to your PvE server, farming up more resources, doing your main stuff there. And I think this is one of the best systems in this game. I think it is a very nice workaround to a lot of the issues that a lot of other survival games have, with constantly being offline raided, having to make all the bases just some super ugly box to make it as durable as possible, and things like that. So once you choose your server and load into it, it is going to start off very similar to a lot of other survival games. You're essentially just naked, and you have to go start gathering trees, bushes, rock to be able to start building yourself base armors and tools and weapons. But you're also going to be aided by a quest system that's in the game. So main quests in the system are essentially tutorials that follow you out pretty much through the entirety of the progression of the game. So even at high tier stuff, and it's essentially just teaching you how to do different things in the game, wanting you to craft different things, and taking you through all the basics. And completing these will give you experience, copper coins, which is the main currency in the game, and it'll also give you some cooked food and base stuff like that. Then in the quest system, there's also side quests, which usually are based on stuff outside of the main quest. A lot of guild quests are in there, so make this guild building, use this guild building, stuff like that. Then you have daily and weekly quests, which are essentially just kill or gather objectives that you can complete for some additional experience and resources. So while you're doing your gathering, crafting yourself weapons, armors, maybe starting your base, you'll wanting to be doing these main quests because they just give you additional resources, and it's doing stuff you would already be doing just in the general gameplay of the game. game. While you're out in the world, you're gathering, you're crafting, building your base, maybe killing some NPCs, maybe hunting some deer. You're going to be leveling up different skills in whatever you're using, which brings me to the talent and skill system. Now, essentially, this works like something like Valheim or Skyrim. So essentially, there are 25 different skills in the game. So building, armor, lumbering, mining. You have one-handed weapons, two-handed weapons, light armor, heavy armor, all these type of skills. And doing things in this category gives you experience, which levels up these skills. So mining, you go and hit rock. Throwing, you throw throwing weapons at things. One-handed weapons, you hit things with your one-handed weapon. Armor, you use stamina while wearing that specific armor, etc. Like I said, there are 25 of these. And as you level these up, you will then start to unlock talents. And these talents can be a bunch of different stuff, from increasing your wooden club damage or allowing you to tame higher level warriors, allowing you to tame creatures better, giving you a possible bleed on your weapons, making your armor more defensive or makes you move faster in that specific armor. All these different type of talents you will unlock and be able to get pretty much free until you get to 450 skill level with that specific skill. Now, once you get 450, you actually have to go to NPCs in the game and buy your way up to be able to continue to level up that tree. And then those talents past 450 will also take perk points, which are another type of resource you get in the game. So what that essentially caused in the game is that up to 450, you get all of the talents, and this is your more early and mid-game stuff. Then once you get past 450, you have to choose specific skills you're going to want to specialize in, because you're going to have to start using these perk points, which are a lot less abundant. So everybody can get a base feel of all the skills, but then you're going to have to start to prioritize skills very heavily for the end game. So then while you're running around leveling up your skills, getting new talents, crafting armor, making yourself your base, you will then be leveling up your character by all this experience gained, and then you'll be able to unlock new crafting recipes. And there are tons of different crafting recipes. So you have wheelbarrows, you have different cooking recipes, different healing recipes. You can get different things for taming AI or taming horses and riding those, armor, weapons, new buildings, new crafting stations, all that type of stuff. And you just unlock those by using recipe points, and you need a certain level. So once you get that level, you can just use recipe points to unlock those recipes. And it's seeming like this is mainly just a level thing. It's seeming to be that you get enough recipe points to just get all of the recipes you want while leveling up. So it's mainly just a skill thing. And then you obviously have to go out and get all the resources to craft the new things you just unlocked. Now, for some of the main features of the game, like I've mentioned, you're out there gathering resources and making yourself new armor, new weapons, new gathering tools. You're building yourself up bases, getting new crafting stations, all that type of stuff. There's also two very important things with this. You can also tame and ride certain creatures. For the early and mid game, that's going to pretty much only be horses. You can tame horses, you can put armor on them, put your saddles on them, ride them around. You can also do mounted combat off horses, so you can use any weapons off the back of a horse, which is very cool. You can get different rarity of horses, and you have to keep them fed. They can carry stuff for you. All of what you'd expect from taming a creature to be able to ride around and use as your mount. And then there is also taming what are called warriors in this game. And this is essentially AI humans. So you can go and get different ones. So you can get vagrants, which are not aggressive to you. So you can actually go up and talk to them, and you can give them some item, and then that essentially tames them. And those are the base ones. But then as you get more into the game, there's rebels and different other enemy factions that you would actually have to knock out, take back to your base, put on a torture rack, and get their obedience to 100%. Then you will tame that AI. And those are the main ways you're going to go about getting the human AI. Now with the human AI, you can either have them follow you around, help you in battle, help carry stuff, things like that, or you can put these AI on crafting stations, which can buff the crafting station, make it go quicker, and then can give that warrior AI experience. Now you can also go on these crafting stations like this. So say if you're crafting some armor, use the crafting station, and when that armor's done, you'll get a bunch of additional experience, and it'll make the craft go faster, and maybe it will make the craft cheaper. That is something optional you can do, because you can also just craft any items at a station, not have an AI on it, and you cannot use it, and it'll still craft it. It'll just give additional bonuses if someone is using the station while crafting. You'll also be able to put these AI in siege vehicles. You'll be able to put the AI on their own mounts, so you can put them on their own horses. You can set up these different mines you put AI on on to gather like mining materials, or you can make granaries so they can get you different resources through that, and much more. And this is one of the spots where it gets much more intricate because your horses and your human warriors also have their own skills and perks that can be leveled up by doing different things with those AI, or they get points as they level up that you can allocate into different skills. They have different perks they come with, and then additional perks you can unlock as you level up those different tames. And that's just a base overview of those. They get much more intricate with trying to level up their certain skills and make them do specific things better, all that type of stuff. But that is kind of the base overview of the taming of creatures and warriors. So you're taming yourself creatures, you're leveling up, getting new recipes, doing all this type of stuff, doing your quests, but then you gather up some friends and you want to create a guild. So you can just create a guild, and then this will unlock you a ton of additional progression. So as you're in a guild, you have your friends in your guild, anything you guys do will start earning you activity points. Now these are used to level up your guild, but also your guild has guild skills and guild tech. So essentially your guild also has guild crafting recipes and guild skills. And you use these activity points to learn new recipes for your guild, level up your skills of your guild, so increase the damage of one-handed weapons for your guild, increase the amount of people that can be in your guild, all this type of stuff. It's essentially passive buff trees that you have to use these activity points and then copper coins. Now this is a much more open-ended progression system because some of these passive skills go up to like rank 90 and they get more costly on activity points and copper coins for every level. So they will start to just take a ridiculous amount of these resources. But these will give buffs to your entire guild. Like I said, more damage, more members in the guild, more items in the guild shop, all of that type of stuff. So big passive tree for your guild. Then you have guild tech, which are just guild crafting recipes essentially. So you start at your guild workshop, you can create a guild fair, which is essentially an auction house. So you can sell and buy stuff from other players on the server. You can make watchtowers, you can make siege vehicles and siege workshops to make catapults, different towers, even stuff like flamethrowers, battering rams, all that type of stuff. And these guild buildings are going to be quite a bit more expensive and take a lot longer to craft, but these also have the possibility of unlocking big features of the game. So the thing we talked about where you start on a PvE server, but then you can transfer stuff and go fight on PvE servers, then come back, that's made through the guild. Those are guild staging stations or guild logistics departments. That's how you'll end up transferring items and going to the PvP clusters of your overarching server or things like that. So I think that's a pretty good overview of a lot of the progression, a lot of the main gameplay features. And keep in mind, this game, like I said, is ultra deep. There are other progression systems I didn't went over. There are these tactic systems that are really strong passives that you get through doing these treasure map dungeon events. There's a nobility system that you can rank yourself up in nobility just by playing the game over time and spending currency on it that will give you some slight passive buffs. It's going to take a long time to keep ranking that up. There are other events that you'll be able to actually fight over the different strongholds or capitals of the different county or clusters you're in, where there can actually be a player magistrate of that county which taxes the county or chooses the tax of the county so they can earn resources through that. But you can also try to fight them to try to take over that county if you want. And then there are even some other battles that play out as like a tournament style battle to try to become the magistrate, and tons of additional progression through these systems. So like I said, the base gameplay is going to be what you expect from a survival game. You got there gathering, taming things, building bases, creating your guild, getting better armor, getting better weapons, going out and fighting different strongholds and camps, taming AI to help you get resources quicker, and all of what you would normally expect from a survival game. But this game, like I said, is so deep that once you get that kind of base layer, it just gets deeper and deeper as you progress into the game, and there are much more progression paths. But now I want to talk about how this game actually implements these systems. Are these systems implemented well? Is the progression well paced? Is the game ultra buggy? All that type of stuff. So first off, the game is pretty well polished. It performance is, I would say, decent. They've increased performance a little bit in some recent patches. Like I said, keep in mind this is an early access game, even though it's pretty polished. The polishing of the game overall is pretty good. We've only encountered a few bugs. The main thing wrong with the game you're going to notice is going to be the translation of some of the description and text. It is a game made by a Chinese company, so they have a lot of work to do with the translation and descriptions of certain items and stuff like that. A few items can randomly also just be only in Chinese, but you're usually able to get the gist of what you need to know from the description of items and things like that. But past that, there's really not many bugs, which is a very rare thing, especially in survival games. Even the really good survival games, say Rust, Ark Survival Evolved, Conan, are all still somewhat buggy, and when they came in early access, they were really buggy and were broken for a long time and had tons of bugs for a long time, as you would expect from an early access game. But this game came out very polished and with a very minimal amount of bugs. And the overarching progression of this game is paced very well so far. So me and the people I'm playing with are around level 35 right now. I think max level is 100. I'm not entirely sure about that, but we've been playing a ton of time since this came out. We haven't been playing a week yet, and this is pretty much all we've been playing all day since it came out. So the progression isn't too ultra grindy, but it's also not super fast, so it feels like you're just going to fly through everything. And with some of these progression systems, like I said, it's going to take you so long to try to maximize everything in this game because of how open-ended some of these progression systems are. But so far, everyone I've talked to has felt that the game is very well paced in terms of progression, experience gains, unlocking new stuff, all those type of things. And lastly, these developers have thought of a lot of things that you would want in a game that a lot of other games don't have at launch or never get implemented in because they're more utility stuff that a lot of developers don't think of, and then their attention to detail. So one example is just all of the stuff you can do in a guild, especially as a guild leader. So first off, there's a lot of customization throughout the game. So guild emblems, guild names, guild leveling up, all this type of stuff. Some of the more utility stuff that I don't think a lot of other games would have is, say, you can go into your guild list with all your different guild members and you can actually set objectives for your guild to do. If you're a bigger type of guild that want to do that want to be very organized, you could set an item by their name, put a certain amount you want them to gather or craft of this item to essentially give just objectives to your guild members. So say if you're offline or you're like, the guild needs this type of thing, I'm going to set these few people to go get this certain resource for us, and I want them to all go get 100 of this resource. And then they can do that and complete that resource and everybody can see it. Now this really doesn't have a progression path tied to it, but this is just a system that guild leaders can use. And there are things like this all over the game if you kind of understand what I'm saying, that it's all designed in a very smart way. And then finally, the attention to detail in this game also makes the game very immersive. And there are a few things with this that can kind of give you an idea. So we have been playing for a little under a week and we have only seen it rain heavily a couple times. And we just recently got a kind of thunderstorm in game where we're building. And what this thunderstorm did is actually started to create pools of water all over the landscape where it's raining heavily, and it started to overflow the river we live by a little bit. So some of the other land was overflown with water and it looked very nice. And that's just one small attention to detail that makes the game much more immersive because it feels more like a world. But then you have stuff like the pens you can build in the game. So you can capture foxes, put them in a pen, keep them fed so they can generate you fur and different things like that. And in these pens, you can actually see these foxes walking around and you have to increase their mood and all this type of stuff. And then for crafting higher tier weapons and armor, you have to actually craft these weapons and armor. Then you have to put them in a quenching area, which essentially quenches and finishes off the armor or that sword and makes it an actual usable item. So it's actually like they're creating the sword, then they have to forge it to make it strong in the quenching pool, and all of these type of things that add much more immersion into this world. So that is my overview of Myth of Empires. Like I mentioned, the game's so deep that an overview was kind of hard to make. Hopefully it was easy to follow and understand. Like I said, it's a survival game, has a lot of the stuff a survival game would normally have and that you would expect from it, but it just gets more intricate, more deep as you play the game. And it's very good. Like I said, one of the best newly released games I've played for a long time. And I'm going to continue and do more guide videos on this game because, like I said, it's so intricate. There's a ton of stuff to learn. So subscribe and keep an eye out for those videos coming soon. But that's all I wanted to go over for Myth of Empires. So subscribe if you want to see more Myth of Empires or other videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about this game. And thanks for watching.